Alrighty, artists, what we are going to focus on for this unit is creating our very own graffiti tag. So one of the things that we'll have to do is, number one, really just decide what name you would like to include on your graffiti tag. For example, when I was back in school, when I was younger, my last name is what people called me by sometimes. So you can do your first or your last name for this project. So I am actually going to show you how to do Stalky. So really, how do we get from point A to creating some really fun, funky letters for our graffiti tag? This is going to be a very step-by-step process, but if we break it down into simple steps, it won't be as difficult as it might look. For those of you who have already done black lettering, bubble lettering, things like that, this may come a little bit easier to you than others. But if it's your first time, there is a really important process that you can use in order to help you get through this step by step. So if we look at our blank paper here, all of you are going to start by first choosing which name you're including for your tag. Number two is going to be to make sure you have some kind of straight edge. So you can use even the side of your notebook or a ruler if you have one at your desk. And what we're simply doing is finding about 2/3 down our paper. We just want to draw a straight line, and that will be our guide for where we draw our letters. So the first thing I'm going to do is draw that straight line using a pencil, and draw really lightly because we can actually go back and erase this when we're done. This is simply here to just make sure that I am keeping my letters straight across my page. So once we are finished with that, at this point you are just going to write your name like you normally would. I am going to show you how I would do my last name, Stalky. So what I'm simply going to do is start off by just writing out really small up here the letters of my name. So you'll see that I have 7 letters, so I have an odd number of letters, so the middle letter is going to be this H here. That's how I know that letter is going to be right in the middle. If I had an even amount of letters, then of course it might be right in between 2 letters. So you want to kind of pay attention to where that center point will be, because that's the letter that I'm going to start with to make sure that I can fit all of my letters on my page accordingly. So the first thing I'm going to do is find that center letter and put it right in the middle of my paper if I can. And I am going to draw that H just normally, like I normally would. Now you can have a little bit of fun with this since we are doing graffiti style. For example, the middle part of my H doesn't have to necessarily go straight across. I could do kind of like a angled design if I wanted to. So you can have a little bit of fun experimenting with your letters. The other thing that I'm paying attention to, if I look at my letters, it might be kind of fun to do my letter T and then maybe my letter A like inside below the top part of the T. So you can have some fun with that, and I'll show you what I mean. So what I might do is, now at this point I might go in and create my letter A next, just to make sure I can fit this all on my page decently. So I'm working from the center outwards. And then I could continue this angle. That could be really fun to continue this angle throughout my entire piece rather than having that go straight across. Up to you. Now what I might do is have my letter T go over my A and kind of fit underneath, and I can have fun with what that design might look like. So my letter T will go all the way across. And then my S, since it's the main part, I might do a little bit bigger, and it might kind of wrap around my T on the top. Just like that. So I've got the first 4 letters, now I just have to focus on the second part. Now I'm looking at my L and my K, and I could have some fun with this too. I could do my L with the K inside it almost and finish up with the E. So now this next step, I might bring my L up a little bit further so I have some space to put that K inside. Got my L, now I can maybe add my K on the inside and then have maybe that come lower and do something fun down here with that letter K. Then lastly, I'll have my letter E at the end here. So again, just drawing that normally. The key to this is drawing lightly because like I said, we'll go back and erase that part later. Now is when we get to have a lot of fun with the letters. So what graffiti artists commonly use is what we can call them bars, or we can call them planks. So basically, like at the end of a letter, you might see a plank or a rectangle just like this one here. You'll see that this is a rectangle. We can call it a plank or a bar style. And what they do is oftentimes letters are made up of bars, right? So we can see like the letter T is made up of one straight bar and two straight bars. So you can see that once we start creating those letters that we kind of work in a bar-like format. So when we do the top of the letter T, for example, you can have some fun with, do you want this going straight across? Do you want an angle? That's totally up to you. But you could do like some really fun angles in here. So for this plank, I might have it get smaller, and since I'm an art teacher, I might even have a little bit more fun even, and I might turn this into like a paintbrush here, maybe. See how that looks? Maybe something like that. So you can have fun incorporating symbols into your letters too, but I am just going around the original letter that I created in order to do this, making sure that when I'm adding these bars that I'm going straight across. You wouldn't want this to be way uneven, or it wouldn't really make sense with my design. You want the letters to be really nice and clean. Then at the end of here, I could do another bar at the end, and again, that's just like a straight line, depending on what direction. If you're having a little bit of fun with angles, you can do something like that. And you could have this, you could really exaggerate some of these shapes if you want. I could have that bottom part of my T. The only problem I have with this is it's supposed to be a T and it's starting to look like an I. So I might not exaggerate this way too much, otherwise you might not be able to understand what the letters are. So you gotta be thinking about things like that while you're making this too. So now I'm gonna move on to my letter A, and again I'm going around the original letter that I created. I could do another bar on the top of my A. I could extend my letter A down a little bit further. I'm following this line for the angle. And this A might come down below my letter T. And playing again with those angles, I can have fun adding another bar down at the bottom, making sure that these lines are straight in line with each other. Now here, when I do this little triangle on the inside of my A, I need to make sure I'm lined up with the legs of the A, or that will look funny as well. And still using that same angle that I did for the bottom so that this all flows and makes sense. I can add another bar on the A, like I said, on the top if I wanted to. And then once you have those things established, I'm going to do that same exact bar that I did, the same angle down this way. So I like how that looks. And when you exaggerate those bars at the bottom, you'll start to get that really graffiti looking style. Now at this point, you know, you could curve the edges if you don't really like how the straight edges look to get more of a graffiti style too. So play around with the style of your lettering as well. Once I'm done with these letters, I can actually go back and erase that original line that's in the middle of my letter that I used to start. Then you have your entire letter revealed, how that will look in your final. So you're going to do this same technique as you go completely across your page. So again, going around my letter H, Starting with the inside and moving outwards helps for me. Paying attention to all of those angles. Do I want this to be the same angle here? That would be kind of cool, so I might try adding that bar using that same exact angle for the H. I have seen students have a lot of fun with the, different styles of fonts that they're using. I've had students do drips on the bottom of their letters, and especially as an art teacher, I think we kind of came up with that idea together at one point, how, and I'll show you that on maybe my L here, how I would do that. So I could do some kind of dripping at the bottom of my letter L here. I could have this letter start to kind of ooze off of the page by adding drips at the bottom. Almost as if that letter L is melting off the page. Could be kind of cool. Not really liking how big this is. Like I said, draw lightly because you might be going back and making some changes. I could have a lot of fun with this K. I could over-exaggerate that and have it get bigger or smaller towards the bottom. I've seen students add arrows at the ends of their letters, so an example of that would be something like this. You can have fun with symbols if there's certain sports you enjoy or things like that, hobbies that you have. You can find ways to incorporate those things in the text. Hoping to see some serious creativity here. Get to know you a little bit through our graffiti tags. Let's go over to my letter S here. I'm going to make this really bold and exaggerated. I can have this come behind my letter T. This one be super exaggerated on the ends if I wanted to. And I definitely am going to probably play around with curving the edges a little bit. I think I like how that looks. You could have fun, making some of these much thicker than they appear on mine. I'll be showing you some examples of, different styles of lettering. Some students like it when their letters are thinner or thicker. That's completely your choice, but you definitely want to stick with this kind of bar and plank style that we've been discussing in the demonstration video. When you're feeling pretty confident with how your letters look, like I said, just go back and erase the original lines that you created in the beginning because you no longer need those. They were simply there as a guide. Always making sure those lines are even with each other when making these letters is so, so important. I could have some fun exaggerating the angle in the letter E. Could do an arrow inside of there. Could be kind of cool. All right. Can go back and also erase that straight line that you created in the beginning too. So just a demonstration video for you on how to start those letters. Once you have materials, you can get started, and like I said, just get creative with it.